Yo, what's up guys? Welcome back to another video. It's your boy, Flights here, back at it with another video. And today we got, what if Deku was the reincarnation of Naruto and Sasuke? So basically, in the last episode, Deku, Deku was introduced to some new characters in our cast. Some of these characters being Naruto, Sasuke, Sakura, Gaara, and Tamari, and many more. But basically, they ended up having the sports festival, and the winners were Deku in third place, Naruto in second, and Todoroki in first. So basically, now that the recap's done, let's get into the video. Everyone would show up to class when Midnight walks through the door. She says, "Hello everyone, I'm Midnight, as you know, and today we will be picking our hero names. How this will work is everyone will get a whiteboard. They will have to think of a name that will have to be appropriate, and then they will have to present it to the class." This is when she hands all the whiteboards to everyone, and everyone starts thinking of the name. Deku's fangirls, concluding of Mina, Sakura, Uraraka, not Tamari, not Hinata either. Oh God, and that's about it. They would all gather around Deku and Sasuke, and wondering their names. Deku would end up picking the Green Shinobi because of the origin of his quirk, chakra. And basically, this is when he would enter his mindscape. All his fangirls and a couple of his friends would just look at him thinking, did he just fall asleep? This is when he would try to interact with the fox more. He's been with the fox for several years, and the fox has helped him multiple times. There's no reason not to interact with him. And then, as he's going into his mindscape, he realizes he's never bothered to ask the fox's name, or even to be friends. This is when he enters his mindscape and says, "Hey, what's up, Nigels? I was wondering if you approve of my hero name." That's what everyone is going to be referring to as me. "Fine, kid. What is it?" "Green Shinobi, you know? Kind of like where you're from, how there are a whole bunch of shinobi." Whatever, I guess. I guess that's a decent name." "Oh, well, okay. Well, thanks for that, but I was wondering something." "What is it?" "I was wondering if you wanted to be friends, and maybe you can even tell me your name." "I don't know, kid. You're the second person to ever ask me to be friends, so I don't know." This is when Kurama would just send Deku out of his mindscape, and Deku would write it down on the board, Green Shinobi. Naruto would end up picking Orange Shadow, Sasuke, Red Eyes, and I'll just tell you everyone else's names anymore later. Everything would go like in canon. Bakugo saying he wants to make his name King Murder something, or King Murder, King Explosion Murder. Midnight would say no. Not Deku. Bakugo would end up throwing a tantrum, and Midnight would put him to sleep. This is when everyone else would get their hero names. Midnight would register them, and she would walk out. As she's walking out, everyone hears her say hi to someone walking in. This is Kakashi. Kakashi says, "Oh, how are you?" This is when everyone's like, "Where were you? You're so late." sorry, I just got lost on the path of life. This is when everyone just sighs in disbelief, and this is when I was like, oh, great. Well, I guess if you're here, then you can explain the rest. What do you mean? Hero work studies. Oh, okay. Well, basically, hero work studies work like this. You, depending on how you performed in the sports festival, certain heroes will want you to come study at their industries and maybe learn a few things. Just depending on how you performed. This is when everyone would get a list of who they got, and also a list of what they placed. Obviously, Todoroki being in first, Naruto being in second, and Deku being in third. Sorry about that, but basically, Deku would go through his names, and they're told they have till tomorrow to decide. Deku would end up going through his names, and there's one that would catch his eye. Toad Sage Jiraiya. No, not Jiraiya, just the Toad Sage. It catches his eye because he remembers Toad Sage being one of his abilities that he can learn. He's thinking about it over the course of lunch, or as he's walking out of the class to go to lunch. And as he's walking through the hallway, All Might jumps up saying, I am here. Young Midoriya, would you like to have lunch with me? Deku obviously accepts, and they head to the staff lounge. All Might says, okay, well, let's get down to the point. There's someone I want you to not internship, but to have your hero work study with. Oh, okay. Who is it? His name is Gran Torino. He was my mentor. Oh, okay, that's fine. I'll do it. Okay, well, here's his address. All I would hand him a note. This is when a few days later, Deku would end up heading to his door. He'd open the door and he would see Gran Torino lying in a whole bunch of ketchup. But he wouldn't think it's ketchup, he'd think it's blood. And so he uses his Sharingan. He ends up realizing that it's just ketchup and says, alright, I know you're just lying in ketchup. This is when Gran Torino gets up and says, got me. Well, hold up. Deku would say, and Gran Torino would say, oh, I almost got you. This is when Gran Torino said, well, I assume you know how to fight. Get ready. This is when he starts ballistically jumping off the walls. Deku uses his Sharingan and starts trying to use One for All to dodge, but ends up not being able to fully control it, and ends up not breaking his finger, but ends up putting an immense amount of stress on his body, so he ends up not using it. Deku just using his Sharingan would end up trying to dodge. He'd only be able to dodge one of Gran Torino's attacks. After around an hour of this, Gran Torino would tell him to try and train those eyes. Over a course of a few days, immensely training his eyes, Deku would unlock his Mangekyo Sharingan. It looks like this. I'm putting it on top of the right of the screen, and just for the sake of it, I'm saying that Deku does not become blind. So, yeah. This is when Gran Torino's like, your pupil has a different shape now. It's in the shape of a star. Deku's like, oh, wow, that's cool. It must be the Mangekyo. Huh? Is that some new form? Is that some form of your quirk you've heard about? Oh, yeah, it is. Oh, okay. Well, let's see what you can do. over the course of a few more days, Deku would end up, not Deku would end up getting a Susanoo ribcage and the Susanoo skeleton. Deku would end up training in Sage Mode. Gran Torino would say, why are you just sitting there? Deku would say, it should unlock a new ability in his quirk. He's sitting outside, by the way, on the grass. You're crazy. After a few days, he just opens his eyes, and Gran Torino sees this. He has a small bit of orange around his eyes, and his eyes turn to yellow with a black mark. Oh, kid. And he's also, and a giant cloud of smoke appears around him, revealing he has a, orange and green jacket. Yes, I'm making it that because, I'm pretty sure they don't have to be, just, they can be several colors, because Jiraiya's is red and Naruto's is orange. So, yeah, and Deku would end up having an orange pattern all around his eyes. Gran Torino would be surprised by this, and he'd say, so this is one of your new abilities? Deku would nod in agreement. Gran Torino would say, well, I saw you combine that one Sharingan type ability with your demon mode or whatever that was. I don't know. Maybe you could try it with this, but with your stronger. Deku ends up trying this, and his Mangekyo is too powerful to combine. First few times he tries it, he passes out. So he ends up just trying his 3-Tamo. He ends up doing it. And I also have a picture of Sage Mode right there. And his 3-Tamo combined with Sage Mode looks like this. Gran Torino was surprised he actually did it. This is when Gran Torino is jumping off the walls and trying to attack Deku. Deku's only dodging a few attacks here and there, but he's getting hit by the majority still. Because Gran Torino's attacks are almost unpredictable, and extremely fast. So this is when Gran Torino would realize, oh shoot, I'm supposed to be training this kid how to use One For All. This is when Gran Torino would say, hey kid, why aren't you using One For All? Deku says, it breaks my whole entire limb that I use it on, or just a finger depending on how I use it. Basically, it's just a liability at this point. I'm trying to learn how to control it. Have you ever thought of not focusing it into one part of your body and focusing it all throughout? Like trying to spread it, let it flow through your body? And Deku's actually like, oh crap, I've actually never thought of that. He ended up trying this, and a few hours later, after attempting to do this while fighting with Gran Torino, he ends up, sorry about that, there ends up being a whole bunch of green lightning around him, and he says, I think I did it, Gran Torino. This is when Deku's way faster, and he ends up using the, his Mangekyo Sharingan. This is when Gran Torino tries to attack him. He uses his ribcage, blocking it. Gran Torino punches it, and it kind of hurts his hand, but it goes back right in between the ribcage and punches him. Sorry about that. My mother came in and kind of interrupted me, telling me that that she was preparing food. But anyways, Deku would end up doing this, and he'd be pretty fast, almost as fast as Gran Torino. But Gran Torino would try attacking him. He'd use his Susanoo ribcage, blocking one of Gran Torino's attacks. It hurts his hand, but Gran Torino immediately gets back up and goes in the slight part that's in between the ribcage and ends up punching Deku in the stomach. Deku wasn't able to see this in time and react fast enough, so he did predict it, but he wasn't able to react fast enough. Gran Torino ended up hitting an attack. So, as you can see, those are all of Deku's abilities right there. All of his eyes. And basically, all of those, except his 1, 2, and 3 Tamo Sharingan. So, yeah. Well, anyways, him and Gran Torino are heading onto a train, and as they're on the train, a hero with a Nomu comes flying through the train, making a giant hole. Deku's like, holy crap, as he looks out his window and sees a whole bunch of Nomu flying and running around attacking the city. This is when Gran Torino tells him to wait, but Deku jumps out of the hole. He ends up trying to look for people to save and to help. When he ends up looking through the alleys and sees Stain about to kill Ida, he ends up charging up One for All, full cowling as he calls it, and using his 3 Timbo Sharingan as he's underestimating Stain. But he's only using this to test him, to see his full strength. He ends up not jumping towards Stain, knocking him off right after Stain licked Ida's blood. Ida was paralyzed. So basically, Deku and Stain are just brawling it out. Deku ends up having to resort to using his Mangekyo so he can use his Susanoo ribcage to block Stain's swords. So he ends up doing that and turning the Susanoo ribcage on and off. And the reason that I don't have a picture of him with the Susanoo ribcage is because I could not find one. But anyways, I could not find a green Susanoo ribcage. But anyways, Deku would, be fighting Stain. When he gets a chance, he pulls out his phone and sends his location as Stain's getting knocked down and getting back up. He sends it to the Class 1A group chat. This is when Deku, who is training with the Toad Sage, and sorry about that, my family just keeps walking into my room without knocking. But anyways, Deku would end up sending his location. Naruto, who was training with the Toad Sage, also known as Jiraiya, would, end up Naruto would end up running towards it. Todoroki, who was also training with Endeavor, would end up going to Deku's location. They both arrive, but before they arrived, Stain ended up having to push Deku into using his Susanoo skeleton. Yes, I'm giving him Shisui's thing because not only do I love Shisui, he is my favorite character in all of Naruto, but the green also matches his, his green hair and, just his Deku's green overall. I thought it would match perfectly. So he would be fighting, and Stain would be fending himself off fairly. It'd be fairly difficult for Stain, but not enough. As he's fighting, he'd notice a shadowed out figure up here. And I forgot to mention, but Sasuke was also training with that ninja shinobi hero. I'm just gonna say he was also in Hoso. So yeah, he ended up appearing, and this is when Deku would have been fighting Stain. So Naruto, Naruto, Todoroki, sorry I forgot his name for a second, Naruto, Todoroki, and Sasuke, which all show up. They would all be overpowering Stain. And that's when that shadowy figure would walk up and start helping Stain. He'd be summoning a bunch of snakes and also a lot of, making himself like snakes. And he also had fangs. And sorry I forgot to add Naruto in there. Actually, no, Naruto's not even there. Never mind. This is when Todoroki would shoot a giant iceberg, trapping Stain in the iceberg. Stain, this is when Orochimaru realizes they're probably gonna get caught, so he quickly reaches out his neck, just elongates his neck and bites Sasuke. Deku was going to try and block it with his spear, but ended up not being able to in time. This is when Stain would barely be able to cut his way up. When the flying Nomu would come flying in, and basically, you know, Deku would just stab the Nomu with his spear. That flying Nomu wouldn't even have stood a chance. But this is when Todoroki would have realized Stain was getting away, and ended up about to use a giant blast of fire when Deku told him to stop, and Deku would have ended up using shadow clones who were all using that, who would have caught up, who were using One For All and Deku's Mangekyo Sharingan, so they were extremely fast, who would have caught up with Stain easily. They would have just beat him up to the point where Stain was knocked out. They would have tied him up, and this is when all the pro heroes, including Gran Torino, the Shinobi hero that Sasuke was training with, Endeavor, and also Naruto and Jiraiya. This is when they would want to take credit. This is when the police officers would tell Deku that Endeavor would be taking credit. Deku would agree, and then that's all for That's all for now. Alright, I hope you guys all enjoyed the video. Sorry I have to end it off so early. I usually have my what ifs at least 25 minutes. But I have to work on more what ifs, and there's probably only going to be 3 or 4 more parts to this. Sadly, because I only have a few more arcs to cover. And and yes, I will be going all the way to the Gentle Criminal arc. So yeah, that'll probably be the third or fourth part. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Part 5 should be out tomorrow, if not the day after. But yeah, the reason I haven't been posting is because I was sick. But anyways, hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you all next time. Goodbye.